We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
That's Tom Homan, Donald Trump's border czar, from a recent 60 Minutes interview from CBS. This man will be running the Donald Trump deportation operation in Texas in just a few weeks. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. What's in store for Hispanic families in Texas with undocumented members? By the numbers, thousands of whom supported Donald Trump in last week's election, is but one of many growing concerns as January approaches. But let's start there again today. Jayesha Johnson's headline in her story for KPRC TV in Houston reads as though to reassure Trump's mass deportation plan. Fact versus fiction. What's next for Texas? But that's where the reassuring part ends. As Tom Homan indicated at the top, the Trump administration does not consider cost to be a concern in the effort to fulfill Trump's repeated campaign pledge to deport millions of people from the United States, a top priority from day one. And those costs appear likely to run into the billions. The American Immigration Council says a mass deportation effort targeting the 13.3 million people living undocumented in the U.S. would cost at least $315 billion for arrests, detentions, legal processing, and removals. Deporting 1 million immigrants per year could cost $88 billion annually, the lion's share of those costs going to the operation of detention facilities. One business sector that's seen its stock prices rocket skyward since last Tuesday is the private prison sector. DACA recipients, people brought to the U.S. as children, many of whom have not left our borders since, protected by an Obama-era policy, will not be exempted and are in fact targeted. Trump has made no secret of his plans to do away with DACA, trying and failing in his first term before he had stacked the U.S. Supreme Court with his own picks. Surely the new administration will do all they can to keep families together, right? Well, no. A Trump-appointed judge just recently blocked a Biden administration Keep Families Together policy designed to help undocumented immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens apply for legal status. This isn't just about Trump. Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star looks at this point like just a warm-up. Abbott has pledged to keep the pedal to the metal in this new era. Emma Ruby at the Dallas Observer says organizations like the ACLU and RACES are gearing up to fight what's shaping up to be an uphill battle against a relentless, uncaring foe with unlimited resources. RACES Chief External Affairs Officer Faisal Al-Jabouri notes that a majority of people living in the U.S. illegally have been doing so for over a decade, building families and careers during that time, but frankly, comes off a little Pollyanna-ish here and saying, quote, I do have faith in the American public to speak up when something is antithetical to our values, unquote. The results of last week's election do not indicate much sympathy among the majority of American voters, as we've talked about, a historic portion of whom are Latinos themselves. The crazy is well underway even before it really begins, as progressive heads spun yesterday with news of Trump's insane picks for top cabinet positions, Texas transplant Elon Musk being one of those. CNN reporting says Musk and former Republican presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy are set to head up a new Department of Government Efficiency, those initials spelling Doge as in Dogecoin, Musk's pet crypto product, but we're sure that's a coincidence. Tasked in Trump's words to, quote, dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies, unquote. Musk's involvement with federal affairs at this level creates a blatant conflict of interest, considering the extensive government contracts involving his various businesses, but stuff like that may or may not really matter anymore. Ramaswamy has lobbied for the elimination of the FBI, the Department of Education, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Musk's goal is likely a massive rollback of regulations on businesses like his, one of which is Twitter, whose staff he slashed upon buying it and which he has turned into an unfettered playground of trolls, harpies, and conspiracist lunatics since. To the Texas Capitol, and a big day yesterday there as well. The Texas Tribune says lawmakers in the Texas House and Senate filed more than 1,000 pieces of legislation yesterday on the first day that they could do so, covering a range of issues, including abortion. Austin Democratic State Rep Donna Howard filing a bill to unshackle Texas healthcare providers when handling patients facing life-threatening pregnancy complications. A similar bill went nowhere last year. Public education, with Republican lawmakers pressing for private school vouchers, Governor Abbott's top bought and paid for priority. Plus, further limits on the content teachers and schools in Texas are allowed to present, requirements that Texas public school students be taught that life begins at conception, preventing any mention or reference at all to sexual orientation or gender identity in schools, and lots more. Houston Democratic Rep Christina Morales filed a bill seeking to include ethnic studies as part of required social studies curriculum. We're rooting for her, but we're sure not holding our breath. And tons more regarding higher education, the border and immigration, property taxes, elections, marriage, criminal justice, energy, health, guns, workers' wages, and more. The basic rights of our LGBTQ plus community are here as well. Brooke Migden at the Hill says House Rep Joe Moody and Senator Jose Menendez filed bills in the House and Senate that would repeal the state's ban on homosexual physical contact, which, yes, remains on the books in Texas as a misdemeanor, as well as strike language from Texas law requiring educational materials for minors to state that, quote, homosexuality is not an acceptable lifestyle, unquote. Yes, that's also on the books in 2024 in Texas. A truly scary moment yesterday for us here at Progress Texas and for anybody who contributes to or relies on the hard, important work of nonprofits like us and the aforementioned ACLU, who led the charge in urging the U.S. House to kill H.R. 9495 yesterday, a bill that would have given the Trump administration the unilateral, unchecked power to arbitrarily shut down any nonprofit whose message or work should be found counter to their goals. This law would have allowed tax-exempt nonprofit status to be stripped away from any organization simply under the stated suspicion that it is, quote, terrorist supporting, unquote. We're talking news outlets, universities, civil society groups, essentially any of the organizations we're allied with and support here at Progress Texas. After a flurry of public outcry yesterday, the bill eventually died, but 52 of the 213 sitting Democrats in the U.S. House, almost a quarter of them, voted in favor of this bill, including Texas Democrats Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez, both of whom were just recently reelected by the skin of their teeth. And looky there, Colin Allred voted to put nonprofit political orgs like Progress Texas on the thinnest of ice. I've been told to stick to the facts here, and the fact is that Colin Allred's campaign hoarded and spent about $80 million in his failed run against Ted Cruz, enough to sustain our organization for almost a century while largely ignoring Texas's progressive grassroots, voting to censure President Biden in his disastrous attempt to appeal to centrist and moderate Republicans who were never going to vote for him for 1 second, and lost by 8.6 points, or 1,236,980 votes, sticking us with Ted Cruz for another 6 years. Think of this. At the end of what could be a truly horrific 4 years of Trump 2.0, Ted Cruz will still be sitting in the U.S. Senate. Those are the facts. Do I sound angry? I am angry. The Trump win has a great many Texans angry and worried about the future in our state and beyond. If you're in this boat with me, know that now is the time to take all this negative energy and put it to good use by getting behind the effort in Texas to stand firm on our values and what's right, even as so many of our fellow Texans are seduced by fear and hate and blind to what we're up against. Now is the time for progressive people in Texas to come together, and we have a great opportunity coming up to do exactly that. Please consider supporting Progress Texas by attending one or both of our holiday parties coming up next month in Austin on December 3rd and Dallas on December 16th. These are both fundraising events for the fight beyond this election and into the next Texas legislative session. We need your help more than ever to continue our important work, and you need quality time with people who feel just like you do. No better opportunity than our holiday parties. Individual tickets are on sale now. See the link in the show notes. Thanks to Progress Texas board member Howard Cleon and our good friend Michelle Paris for their holiday party contributions. We look forward to seeing both of y'all. More facts here, and this has always been the case, really. Our funding at Progress Texas is rarely sufficient for us to plan much more than a quarter or two ahead, but the conservative disinformation machine has no such obstacle. They're funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups. At present, we do not have sufficient funding for the crucial upcoming 2025 legislative session. Our listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas. If you're a regular and you like what we do, we need your support. As a monthly contributor, no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. And thanks to Robert Whitehead, Mary Tadikin, and Sandra Maddox, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of y'all very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit, rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Stay the course. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.